was living in New York. I lived in New York for many years before I moved to Los Angeles, and I did mostly theater. I mean, I graduated from acting school at Columbia in theater, and was very fortunate and was in New York at a very fantastic time in terms of the beginnings of off Broadway, and a lot of young actor, writer, directors, and I hadn't really done. I maybe had done one movie. I think I'd already done Hester Street, which was my very first movie, which is another story. But I got a call from my agent saying that Jack Nicholson, they had been in New York, and he called my agent to or had casting call to ask some questions, find out more about me. And I was like, oh my God, it was like, you're kidding, Jack Nicholson? So in a very naive way, which turned out to go to really be to my benefit, I found out they weren't coming back to New York, that they'd come back to Los Angeles already. I'd never really been to Los Angeles. So I gathered together a whole bunch of pictures. This is me with curly hair, this is me with short hair, this is me smiling, this is me not smiling. I mean, I didn't know what he had responded to. And I made a little packet, and at the very last minute, I put a little card in saying, P.S. I plan to be in Los Angeles for a short visit in the next week or two, which was a complete lie. And I put it in there, and I sent it like overnight delivery and everything. And the next day, my agent called and said, Jack wants to meet you as soon as you get out to Los Angeles. And they said, what are you talking about? And I said, okay. And I packed dirty laundry, and I took my credit card, and I went to the airport, and I flew to Los Angeles. And I had a meeting set up at Paramount. I went and checked in at the Chateau Marmont because a friend of mine was staying there, and I didn't know anything. And I was so unnerved, I started getting a fever blister. And I mean, this was the biggest fever blister I ever, I mean, I was like shot out of a cannon. I felt like my whole body was just like in orbit. And I was so excited, I mean, as well as everything else. And I just remember on the plane and just feeling like this thing was getting bigger and bigger. And I got off the plane, I'm kind of like, and I think, okay, I'm just gonna put on a lot of eye makeup, and he'll never know the difference. And so the next morning, there I was with like a Ubangi lip and a lot of eye makeup, and I even remember what I wore. I mean, I was this, I had this little outfit, like and got in a cab and went over to Paramount, and I was so excited. I couldn't breathe, I think. I was really just, I was that excited. And I came into the office, and there was Mr. Nicholson sitting at his desk, and my picture was up on his bulletin board. And I knew actually that Mary Steenburgen, it was her first role. It was a movie called Going South, and it was her first role ever. And he found her in a casting office. It was a long story. She had a wonderful story about Nicholson also. And these were smaller roles, so I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't seen the script or anything. And I just remember he looked up at me with that fabulous grin and says, "What happened to your mouth?" It's like, and I went, "Oh," I said, "Oh, nothing. I didn't really come out here just to meet you." It was like, and it was a very charming, oddly, he says, "Well, that's why I ask. I've lived with an actress long enough to know how upsetting it must be to get a big fever blister right before a big meeting." And I said, "Yeah, but I said, but I'm so glad to be here." And anyway, very long story short, the whole interview was like 2 minutes long, 3 minutes. And I remember I walked out and I thought, oh my God, and there is something I learned about this whole process, is that when you take chances in life in general, wonderful things happen. And I'm telling you, no matter who I called, I got him on the phone. I mean, I was talking to the president of every film company in Los Angeles, just calling, saying hi. I came out here to meet Jack Nicholson, and I'm from New York, and oh, well, you want to come over and give us your resume or let us look at your reel? And I ended up getting actually a job on a movie of the week during the first week I was out here, and I was staying because I waited to see if I got the job. And then I got a call from it was Marion Doherty's office, and she said, "We've cast you for the parasol lady in Going South." I had one line, And I went to Mexico for 2 weeks with everybody. It was an amazing, it was Mary Steenburgen, Danny DeVito, John Belushi, Chris Lloyd, Veronica Cartwright. I mean, you couldn't ask for a more wonderful cast, and Nicholson starred in it as well as directing it. And if anyone has never seen it, it's called Going South, and it is one of the most delightful cowboys you've ever seen. It's just awesome. And I play the parasol lady, complete with a little hat with red strawberries on it. It was all period. He's not for you, Serene.